I never expected the ultra MAGA Republicans who seem to control the Republican Party now to have been able to control the Republican Party. This MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history, in recent American history.
Well, there you go. Of course, joining me now is one of them main MAGAs, Steve Miller, founder of America First Legal, former senior White House advisor, and apparently one of the leaders of the ultra MAGA movement. But Steve Miller, I'm just, I texted you today. I'm going to read Stephen Miller, who was a senior advisor in the Trump White House, has been identified as an ultra MAGA leader by Senate Democratic Whip Richard J. Durbin of Illinois. I am so jealous of that. How could you? Durbin, man, that's top of the line. What do you make of this?
Yes, that is really good for my street cred, Larry. I couldn't do better than having Dick Durbin declare me to be ultra MAGA. And it really is a high compliment, and it's a high compliment for this reason. What does ultra MAGA mean? Ultra MAGA means ultra low gas prices, ultra low energy costs, ultra high wages, especially for blue-collar workers. It means an ultra-secure border, an ultra-strong military. I could go on, Larry. These are all things to be enormously proud of compared to the never-ending train wreck we're seeing today, where here we are in America in 2022, and we're heading towards Venezuelan currency at this point in time.
I'm reading this. This is your response. This is the Washington Times article. I just love this. So Mr. Miller says, it's the heart of the mainstream of public opinion across all groups. It means voters over special interests, strong borders over bloodthirsty cartels, American workers over guest workers, domestic production over foreign production, national security over needless war. You know what I think ultra MAGA means? All the things that worked under Trump, I'm happy to say, and are not working under Biden. Everything has gone wrong.
Yes.
And that's why I'm mystified, Steve. And why would Biden raise this? I mean, I just don't get any of this.
So this is clearly their closing pitch heading into the midterms, right? Let's analyze this. You and me, Larry, have both been involved in politics for a long time. You have maybe a couple years on me, but we understand that they are desperate. They're grasping for straws inside the White House, trying to figure out, how do we close? First, they said, we're going to blame Vladimir Putin. And that obviously didn't work at all. Vladimir Putin didn't shut down Anwar or shut down the Keystone Pipeline. Vladimir Putin didn't spend $2 trillion on the American Rescue Act. Vladimir Putin didn't break our supply chains. I could go on and on. So that didn't work. Obviously, nobody was buying that. So now they're saying, aha, well, we're going to attack MAGA. But here's why that doesn't work. Every single memory it evokes is of better times. It evokes a memory of no illegal immigration, of being able to afford your grocery bills, of being able to afford your rent, of not having government mandates breathing down your neck. It is possibly, if not definitely, the worst closing pitch they could possibly make, which is that we have no vision, we have no plan, nothing's going to change, we're going to do nothing new in 2023. But we're just going to go extremely negative against every single person in this country who liked or supported the policies of President Trump.
It's so odd thing. I agree with you. Trump's not on the ballot, but Trump is present. He will be present in people's minds. He's already had a string of primary victories, people he endorsed. He had some good luck in West Virginia last night. So
yeah, big one.
You're right about it. I think Biden's making a big mistake. But the bigger issue is, what do you think voters look at when they see Biden going off on these tangents, ultra MAGA? I don't really think most people know what the heck he's talking about. Instead of dealing with inflation, which he denies, or government spending, which he denies, or high gasoline prices, which he denies. In other words, it's sort of like a fool's errand. He's talking about stuff, people go, huh? What's he talking about? Ultra MAGA, what does that mean? And meanwhile, he's up there on the podium yesterday giving this big speech in this presser and says, it's not my fault. Nothing is my fault. I mean, to me, that is a total political disconnect.
You can't, in politics, convince people of a thing that they know isn't true. Any successful message has to have a truth as its foundation so that as you repeat it, people listening at home say, you know what, that feels right. It's like back in the day, you know, when Newt Gingrich was attacking, you know, big government liberals in Washington, D.C., that resonated with people because they could visualize that. They could see that. They could understand what that meant. When President Trump attacked the swamp, attacked the establishment, people knew exactly what that meant, who those public opponents were. Nobody in America thinks that MAGA Republicans are the reason why they have excruciating pain at the pump, or they cannot find essentials at affordable prices, or why the world is now in the flame of war, or why our border is a giant mess, or crime is crime exploding in Chicago because of MAGA Republicans? Is crime exploding in New York because of MAGA Republicans? It just makes so little sense that it's such an insult to the intelligence of voters. Man, I think this is going to backfire. I think it's going to send Hispanic voters. I think it's going to send African-American voters even further away from the Democratic Party.
I mean, Steve Miller, just to wrap up, one of the themes tonight or last night or whenever, this is the failure of the progressive agenda, and it's also the voter rejection of the progressive agenda as embodied and articulated by Joe Biden. I mean, Newt Gingrich calls it big government socialism. But basically, all right, here are the progressives. Here's what they stand for. Here are the results. I think they're going to get clobbered.
For the last 16 months, they have implemented every single policy that they campaigned on implementing. And they passed their cornerstone bill, the American Rescue Act. The results in every area have been complete and total disaster, domestic policy and foreign policy. I think if Republicans do their job correctly, this will discredit progressivism for a generation.
You know, you and I are of the same mind. I've been trying to sell this. I think that's what's going on. And I think it's a blessing, you know. It could be progressivism's last gasp. I know it won't die, but we could maybe keep it down for another 100 years, some such thing. Steve Miller.
Let us hope.
Thank you. Terrific stuff.
Thank
Ultra
you.
MAGA, Steve Miller. God, I need a piece of that title.
Badge of honor.